So obviously the game completely changed with the red card, but prior to that there were both impressive aspects of United's game, but also some concerns as well. And so in this video I'm going to be breaking down the good and the bad that we saw from Manuel Ugarte particularly. And in a future video I'm going to be analysing how Ruben Amorim can make a slight tactical alteration in order to nullify his weaknesses and improve United's ball progression as a whole. But let's start by analysing the goals. So the first goal originated from a set piece, where United sent all three of the centre-backs up from the back. United win the second ball, and as Garnacho is about to play this pass out to Harry Maguire on the right flank, in the centre you can see that because Lindelof and Euro have held their positions alongside Ugarte, Højlund and also Casemiro at the back post, United have a 5v4 overload in the centre, which was crucial to Casemiro eventually scoring. Now Maguire receives the ball and turns into prime David Beckham, carrying the ball forward towards the byline, cutting back, and then to everyone's surprise, rather than laying the ball back to Garnacho, he once again goes down the outside of the Bilbao player in front of him towards a byline, which seems to catch him by surprise, leaving him flat-footed, which creates a yard of space that Maguire needs in order to put the ball into the box. But before I go any further, if you want to check out any cheap, good quality football jerseys, go over to jerseyfifa.co. They've got a variety of different currencies and retro jerseys, including this 2006-2007 white Manchester United away shirt with Ronaldo 7 on the back, which they did actually send me, as well as this Juventus Zidane shirt from the 90s as well, which are two jerseys that I have been wanting for quite a while, but were incredibly hard to find. If you use code Atlantis at checkout you'll get a 10% discount, so I'll leave it linked in the description and in the comment section below. So now in the centre you can see that number 16 for Athletic, Ruiz de Galarreta, hasn't dropped back to pick up Ugarte, with Iñaki Williams also not dropping deeper either, which means that with Yeray Alvarez, the left-sided centre-back, zonally marking the front post, and DeMarcos and Vivian with Lindelof and Euro, both Ugarte and Højlund are free inside of the box, but also at the back post, Barangur's defensive awareness is shocking. He doesn't even see Casemiro coming round his blind side, and when Maguire is able to put a great cross into the box, Ugarte flicks it on to Casemiro, who is completely unmarked and can nod the ball in at the back post. Now whilst Maguire, Ugarte and Casemiro obviously have to take the plaudits, I think what this goal shows is that simply by having more men inside of the box, particularly your best aerial threats, you can create high value goal scoring opportunities, simply by outnumbering the opposition or taking advantage of poor awareness and marking. The second goal on the other hand actually came from Bilbao having settled possession in the middle third. You can see that they're set up in a 4-2 at the base of their possession shape, with United defending with that pentagon that we often see at the top of their defensive shape. As the pass goes into DeMarcos on the right side, you can now see that United's pentagon shape isn't as narrow and compact as you would ideally like, with Højlund being separated from the four behind and the midfield line now being stretched out into almost a flat midfield four. However, this is where Ugarte comes into his own, and why in this phase of play he's perfect for Amorim's midfield double pivot. He does have limitations in other areas which I'll come on to in just a bit, but this type of situation is where he excels, and that's because as DeMarcos is about to play this square pass, you can see that because Ugarte and Casemiro have dropped off fairly deep, looking to compress the space between themselves and the back line behind, there's a fair distance between Ugarte and the athletic central midfielder about to receive the ball. But this is where intensity and aggression in the press, a high level of anticipation and acceleration over shorter distances becomes so important for Amorim to have in the midfield double pivot, as Ugarte has two choices. Either he holds his position alongside Casemiro, not wanting to open up space in behind for Iñaki to drop into, or he uses a square pass as a trigger to press, but if he does this and he isn't quick enough, or he gets beaten in the 1v1, now Casemiro becomes isolated in behind in the centre with a large amount of space to cover. But this is where Ugarte comes into his own, as with his reading of the game being as good as any central midfielder throughout Europe when it comes to anticipating where a square pass is going to be played, combined with his acceleration to cover the ground and robust tackling ability when he actually gets there, he's able to win the ball back, leaving the athletic central midfielder on the floor. And now, because DeMarcos, the right back, had run off of Bruno Fernandes, likely looking for the return pass when he fed it inside, now he's caught high up the pitch, alongside both central midfielders, and United have a 3v3 attacking situation. Now, to be honest, I'm not sure why Højlund doesn't just leave the ball and allow Ugarte to run onto it, and instead make a direct run into the space between the two centre-backs, because this would then give the opportunity to Ugarte to slide him in, potentially into a 1v1 position. And it's this sort of decision making from Højlund that I think greatly contributes to him not getting enough high value chances, and therefore not scoring as many goals as he should. but as Højlund collects the ball and becomes a player driving the attack into the final third, I think this is where United's offensive coordinated patterns of play could be improved. Garnacho does very well because initially he looks like he wants to make the run into the space between the left-sided centre-back and left-back, but Yuri the left-back gets back across quickly and shuts off that opportunity, so instead Garnacho checks his run, making now what has become the optimal movement on the outside of the left-back. But if we focus on the left side, I think this is where United do need more work on the training ground, as I think if this is a forward with greater offensive awareness, I think he makes a run, or maybe I should say should make the run, across Vivian the right-sided centre-back, not really to even receive the pass from Højlund, but as a facilitating run to drag the centre-back over to United's right side, opening up the space on the left for Bruno Fernandes to make a run from deep into, where from Højlund can get the ball on his left foot, look to continue to drive forward, looking to draw one of the centre-backs out of the back line while simultaneously waiting for Bruno's run to get ahead of him, to then feed him in down the left, which can then either set Bruno Fernandes up for a shooting opportunity on the left side of the box, or the opportunity to put in a low cross across the box, looking for Garnacho's movement coming around the back post on the outside of the left back. However, with Ugarte not naturally having these offensive instincts, which hopefully will develop with more work on the training ground, he instead holds a position on the left side, which keeps Vivian the right-sided centre-back in position, blocking the pass for Bruno on the left, consequently forcing Højlund out to Garnacho on the right side, and it almost leads to the attack breaking down, but Garnacho does excellently to keep hold of possession, as does Mazraoui from right wing back to keep up with the attack, providing a powerful overlap ahead of Garnacho with 3 United players as options in the box as well. DeMarcos manages to get back into position, and the Athletic Bilbao back line do get settled, but from here Garnacho's timing and weight of pass to feed Mazraoui in on the overlap is perfect, as is his cross looking for Højlund, who does well to get goal side of Vivian, who's forced to bring him down, leading to the penalty which Bruno Fernandes dispatches as usual, and also the red card, which hands United the game and maybe also the tie. But this all stemmed from Ugarte's ball-winning ability, and this is why, although he is seen as a defensive asset, which he certainly showed throughout this game, he can also be seen as an offensive weapon in the press as well. However, if you did watch the game, you'll know that Ugarte's performance didn't actually start that well, and I'm going to analyse exactly why this was in just a moment, but before that, a quick reminder, I do have a Patreon where you can get access to my in-game Instagram group chat, where I do provide in-game analysis throughout all the Manchester United games, and we have discussions throughout the week on different topics as well. I've also got some articles on niche and interesting topics, so if you do want to sign up for that, you can also get a 7-day free trial. I'll leave it linked in all the usual places, the eye above, description, comment section, and on the end screen after the video. So now on to Ugarte, and I thought in the first 30 minutes of the game, we clearly saw his limitations. See, I have said it many times, that for me, Ugarte is just too limited for what Amorim needs as a central midfielder in the double pivot, particularly in possession, to be starting week in, week out. And this is because far too often when he's receiving the ball, his body positioning is far too closed, facing his own goal rather than side on, allowing him to with one touch allow the ball to roll across his body and then playing forward. And his ball control in general isn't as sharp as I think it could be, leading to him taking unnecessary touches, inviting pressure, and his passing can often be inaccurate or just poorly weighted. And here is one of those examples. Onana has a ball in build-up, with United having that diamond shape at the base of the possession shape, with the back three and keeper, the box midfield ahead and the wing-backs holding wide positions, with Athletic Bilbao waiting to engage on the edge of the United box, allowing Onana to have possession as their 4-4-2 defensive shape transitions into more of a lopsided 4-3-3, as Iñaki Williams on the right side holds a higher position than his brother on the left, in order to give Athletic a front three to man-to-man press United's back three, with DeMarcos the right back also pushing up high, initially on Bruno Fernandes centrally, but ready and waiting to move out quickly to press Dorgu on the left flank if he receives the ball. Now the reason Athletic don't engage United until they move outside of the box is because if they were to press Onana, he would now become involved in the build-up. And with him naturally being the free man, this would mean that United would have an overload somewhere else, which is why they were prepared to allow him to have the ball instead. So the ball gets shifted out to Yoro on the left, and from here, because Iñaki has been enticed into the press, United should be looking to utilise his 3v2 on the left side, efficiently working the ball from Yoro into Ugarte and out to Dorgu, enticing the press from DeMarcos before being able to find Bruno Fernandes in the space he has vacated. However, from a technical point of view, Ugarte just isn't efficient enough in possession, as despite Yoro playing the right pass, splitting the forward line and finding Ugarte's feet, His body positioning is not optimal at all, not receiving it side on, where he can allow the ball to roll across his body and then play left, right or forward, but receiving it facing goal, making his next pass out to Dorgu very predictable, which only works to entice the press on both him and Dorgu. Although despite the initial poor first touch, if he plays a pass now in front of Dorgu, he can then bounce the ball into Bruno Fernandes behind DeMarcos, before running off the back of the right back as he's charging forward, and Bruno and Dorgu could exchange a 1-2, releasing Dorgu up the flank behind the right back with space to run into. But Agate's pass goes behind Dorgu, meaning that he's now receiving the ball with his back to goal, inviting further pressure, and now Vivian, the right-sided centre-back, has pushed up onto Bruno, and United are boxed in with a man-to-man press. And even when the ball does go back to Agate inside his own box, he looks to play a switch of play, but his long pass is under hit, which allows Nico Williams to make the interception, and now Athletic Club have won the ball back in United's defensive third. However, despite his limitations in build-up, we did see where Agate could be utilised quite well, surprisingly in a more advanced position higher up the pitch, and this was for Bruno Fernandes' second goal, which killed the game and made it 3-0. See, Agate was actually quite effective when receiving the ball between the lines, where he was able to create the chance for Bruno Fernandes with two very good first-time flicks into his path. So at this point in time, Athletic were down to 10 men, which is why Casemiro had a lot more space when he was receiving the ball inside the centre circle, with Athletic only having one player in the front line rather than two. However, what I'm more interested in this clip is the theory behind the use of three players situated centrally between the lines behind Højlund. You can see here that United are set up in a 3-1-5-1 shape, with Casemiro operating as a deep single pivot in possession. The two wing-backs Dorgu and Mazraoui are holding high and wide positions in order to stretch the Bilbao back line, not allowing the fullbacks to squeeze in narrow and pick up Bruno and Garnacho in the half spaces, but also to provide an outlet if United do want to switch play from one side to the other. Likewise, Højlund's high position between the two centre-backs works to positionally pin them backwards, looking to maximise the space between the midfield and defensive lines for Agate, Bruno and Garnacho. And now from here, Casemiro plays a type of pass that United have often been lacking this season, which is an incisive pass looking to split the midfield line, and as the ball goes into Agate's feet, this is where we see the diamond shape at the top of the system come into play, as you can now see that in this compact central area, United have 4 players, which allows 1 and 2 touch passes because of the close proximity of the players, with Dorgu and Mazraoui's high and wide positioning keeping the fullbacks wider, particularly the right back with Dorgu, which gives United a 4v3 in the centre. Agate's flick into Bruno Fernandes is exactly what you need in this type of situation, as the majority of the time the player who is receiving the ball isn't going to have the time to turn, and is going to be under pressure immediately after his first touch. Now the flick into Bruno doesn't quite come off, not because of Agate, but more so because Vivian, the right-sided centre-back, does very well to anticipate the pass, and is quick to jump out. However, in doing so he has now vacated a space in the back line, and because United have an overload in this central area, Højlund is able to use his physicality to get to the loose ball, whilst Agate can move ahead and occupy Yeray Alvarez, the left-sided centre-back, stopping him from being able to move to his right to close off the space for Bruno, and even with the right-back DeMarcos coming across, the space is still there for Bruno to make the third man run into. Agate this time plays an even better first-time flick to release Bruno in behind, from where he shows elite level composure, a disguised technique and a firm and accurate placement to send the keeper the wrong way and find the corner of the net, making it 3-0. And I think these darting third man runs from central positions between the lines, from the interior forwards or one of the midfield double pivot, are what United need to double down on, because both Bruno and also Garnacho excel at reading the game quickly and breaking in behind into goal scoring positions, as we also saw Garnacho do for his disallowed goal in the first 5 minutes, just being a second or so quicker to see the opportunity than the Bilbao left back, wherefrom his acceleration over short distances makes him perfectly suited to this type of run. And in this position he kept his composure and finished clinically despite it eventually being given offside. So let me know what you think of my analysis in the comment section below, and if you want to check out any cheap, good quality football jerseys, go over to jerseyfifa.co. I'll leave it in the description and comments, and you can use code ATLANTIS at checkout for a 10% discount. Also, if you want to sign up to my Patreon to read my articles or get access to the in-game Instagram group chat, I'll leave that linked on the end screen now as well.